What's going on, car guys and car gals? Do us a quick favor, share this around. Make sure that you know what's going on in town, because we got the queen of cars up in here.
Cars in the house.
Share,
folks. It is time to share. It is really time to share.
Here we are, car guys and car gals. Good morning. This is Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
And this is Frelin Arts, the subprime hero.
And we are Brew Solutions on the Car Guy Coffee Podcast. We are excited because the Queen of Cars is up in
the Queen of Cars. That's right. We're so excited about this. We're pumped up about it. Man, this has been something that we've had set up for a little bit. We finally found the time, and we're sitting down, and we're going to have a great conversation today. She's somebody who's been in this industry for almost 4 decades, somebody who's made changes in so many different ways, has been from one coast to the next, right? All the way from West Coast, right? And now she's over here on the East Coast right now. Difference, it's a sunrise state compared to a sunset state, right? And she's just changing things up. But she's been doing this industry for so long that she's seen so many different things. She's seen the good, the bad, the ugly. And she also has seen a lot of amazing things shift, and she sees what's going on today. She's coming out, and she's somebody we met on Clubhouse, somebody that we've had an opportunity to hear her speak. And I know if you've been on Clubhouse and you've heard her speak, you know the passion that she has about this business, the passion she has about life. So we're really excited to have a great conversation with her this morning, to be able to get motivated and talk about the state of the union right now of this business right now. There's so many things going on. You know, Lou and I, we like to highlight all the great things. We do talk about some of the bad things. I'll tell them straight up, and I've told this to Diane yesterday. I believe 90% of dealers are failing, and they're doing it in a worse way. They don't care about their employees, nor they do all these things. There's about 10% of them out there that do it extremely well. And the 10% that are doing it, yeah, they make the business look great in their own way, but the 90% are making it look horrible. That's why so many customers hate coming to dealerships, why employees don't want to work at stores that are ran down, that should be highlight stores that look good, but instead they have bad conditions. They don't allow people to grow. Matter of fact, they make people sick to come work there. But that being said, there's so many things we could talk about in this business, but the great things about this business are people like Diane, the Queen of Cars, people like my brother Lou Ramirez, the car guy, right? And so many others that we've had on our show. And my favorite part of our show so far, out of almost 2 years, it's not quite 2 years, you know, we're about, 4 months away. Yeah, we're about 4 months away.
Anniversary.
20 months into it almost now, about 19, 20 months in. And the people we've interviewed, my favorite have been the women so far in automotive. So far, they have been the most eye-opening, uplifting people that I've met. That women have to work harder than men in most cases to be able to get the positions that they receive. It's serious because they get overlooked because they are a woman, and it's sad. And it's been like that really for the whole career. And to see where women can go and take themselves and uplift themselves and each other to a higher level, it's been beautiful. And that's all Lou and I want to do. We just want to be a little part of that, to help that a little bit. I'm not saying that they need our help, but we want to pass that mic just like that to them and let them know we're here to listen to you. We're here to hear what you have to say because what you have is valuable, more valuable than so much more than you can imagine. So I'm ready, man. Are you ready? Let's do this.
I'm pumped up. We've had an incredible time getting to know her inside of different room settings where she gets the chance to be boisterous about her opinion, which we honor that. We love that. But she doesn't just bring opinions. She brings truth. She brings genuine facts and realness to a conversation. And that ultimately is why we are brewing solutions with the Queen of Cars herself. We are so thankful that some of you are jumping up in here and having a blast. Good morning, Laura. Good morning, James. Good morning, David. How are you,
Charles
brother?
Higgins up in the house.
What's up, Charles?
And so many others that we don't see the name because it doesn't pop up here because it's coming on some weird Facebook page that doesn't show. But everyone who's watching, if you're commenting, please keep commenting. We will respond. We do love you. We do appreciate you. And I know Diane is excited. So I'm excited to get her on here. She's a jitterbug. I love it because she's constantly moving. I've been watching her down at the bottom right now. And she's got look at that smile. But anyway, we're gonna get her on the screen. We're gonna get excited about this because she has so much to talk about. We have so many questions we want to ask her. So let's do this, man. So today,
you guys ready to rock?
You guys ready? Today is the day. Today is the day that we bring you the queen. Royalty in this house. We bring you the Queen of Cars. Her name is Diane Uzelac.
Come on, welcome to the cafe. How are you today?
Good morning. How are you guys?
Awesome. Cheers to you. Glad you got
a
brew ready to go. Ready? We got the queen up in here.
We got the queen. Bow down. We appreciate you for being here. Thank you. We hail you, my friend. We appreciate you being here. I know that you have so much to talk about. I love your energy already. You got this spark inside of you that I absolutely love. And look at the kitty cat right there with the pretty fluffy tail. So cute. I love it. Enjoy it. That's family right there.
So
good morning. Yeah, this is my baby. The next generation right here. Since I'm an empty nester,
cars right there.
Become my kids. Yeah.
It's the cat of cars.
So the cat of cars.
Glad that you're here right now. Thank you so much for Tim, Facebook user, Chad, everybody jumping up inside of this. And thank you. Say welcome to the queen. Go ahead and give her a coffee cup emoji. Drop that inside of the comment
in there, say hello to her.
So she knows what's going on. But we are so excited that you are here today and pumped up to have a good cup of coffee and a conversation.
No doubt.
And make sure that people understand what it is that's so great about the queen and why it is we are so blessed to have her in the business. We are thankful, again, just for the relationship as friends. We thank you for you always keeping it real with us and you always being a consistent contributor to those up in the club, right? Making sure that they're getting the words that they need and you're also sharing your heart. And we always appreciate it. You're always a consistent, great contributor. So we clap for you. But everybody... The queen is here.
You gotta do the queen wave. She knows the deal. She's done that wave a time or two. So let's see. We're excited. You know, we love when we have people on the show, and our favorite thing to do with them, the way we start everything, and you already know it, it's the secret handshake. It's the 3 F's. We got to get it down. So get that coffee cup, set it down, and let's get this thing going. And then you can bring it right back up after this. But we got to get you initiated into the club. And this club is exclusive. These Solutionaries, the certified Solutionaries are amazing people. They're people who are making a change. You start off with love, faith, honor, adaptability, and of course, you have to have consistency in all those things. And you are exactly all those things. So we're excited to have you here, have you jump in this club of the forgive, focus, and fly, the 3 F's. Folks, if you don't let the weight of unforgiveness go off your shoulders and off your life, you're never going to be able to grow. You're going to carry that weight. You know how much harder it is to climb a hill with all that weight of unforgiveness on you? You'll never make it to the top. You'll quit halfway up. You'll get tired. You'll want to unload it. Unload it all, let it go, because it doesn't matter. Everything that we've done in the past is done. The past is the past, right?
That's right.
We have to look forward to what we're doing right in this moment and try to be able to give ourselves the best future in the future, right? So we have to forgive. We have to focus on what we want so we can fly to where we want to go and keep growing. So let's do this together. Let's make this happen and enjoy it. Ready?
We got the queen of cars about to forgive folks.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Let's do what it do. So go ahead and cross your hands one time on them shoulders. That represents that weight of unforgiveness. You're going to wipe on off. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Forgive.
Focus.
Focus.
fly, and keep growing, keep growing. Yeah.
Growing. That's what I'm talking
Welcome to the
about.
club,
Yes.
my friend, my
That's the
sister.
queen,
We are
everybody.
about it. The queen is now dubbed the Forgive,
right.
Focus, Fly Queen right now,
That's
right?
right.
Let's make this happen. No, you got to keep growing, folks, and we just keep it moving. But hey, this 5-liner is going to be a lot of fun. I have a feeling that she's going to answer these questions so gracefully and with just such love and passion and truth from her heart, because that's how she speaks. So my very first question for you, it's your why. What drives you? What makes you get up every day and say, I'm going to be the best version of Diane?
Wow. Okay. I love that question. So first of all, I don't know if am I like showing you people every
No, you're not showing anything at all.
All right, good. I don't want to be flashing anybody. So my why has shifted, right, over the years. In the beginning, it was all about the money, right? Succeeding. And I was raised in a culture of he who dies with the most toys wins, truly. That's how I was raised, which is, an interesting story in and of itself. But in the beginning, it was why. Then it became my children, right? Providing for them, giving them a life that I didn't have. And then now it's actually shifted to impact, helping people change their lives. So it's shifted over the years. And I believe that it has to shift. Otherwise, you become stagnant and people don't grow. So if you're not constantly changing your why, then I just feel like people sometimes you hit a brick wall and you need to reset. And sorry, oops, are you still with me?
We're here.
We're with you. We're here. We are, and we can hear you.
Guys.
No, you're still here, my friend. If you can hear us,
Okay, cool.
you're doing great. Don't worry about all that.
Awesome.
We're just happy to have you here. And that why is so amazing. And what I could tell you, Diane, is that I absolutely feel where you're coming from. When I first got in this business, I was very much on that same plateau, same growth mode where it was just about the money. It was about the getting the fancy things, having everything I ever wanted. Oh, living that lifestyle of, hey, I'm that car guy that's got the hundreds of dollars in my wallet. I'm that car guy that drives a nice, beautiful vehicle, right? The one that has a nice house, has the good looking woman on his arm, that's really rocking the Rolex, right? All those things that we perceive what success is in this business. All the things that we look at as, oh man, that's what I want. Don't get me wrong, those things are nice. I love the Rollies. I love the nice cars, nice house. But that is a byproduct of doing what you're doing now.
That's right.
It's a byproduct of doing the right things. Money in abundance comes to us by putting work towards our faith, right? And if you constantly put work there, you're going to harvest a beautiful harvest. But we have to plant those seeds. We have to do these things. We have to be honorable. And what you've found is that, what I've found, at least for me, and I'm sure it's the same with you and with your experience, there's no doubt that the more that you do it for your heart, for one, the money comes even better. Two, you live more fulfilled. You don't go to bed feeling like, what did I do that was so horrible? Instead of you're thinking how great your day was and how many people you impacted. And that's something that I know the Queen of Cars is doing right now. She's impacting people. She's making changes in people's lives. Even if it's just the fact that she's helping people by talking to them, explaining her story, hearing her story, telling her whys, and these few other things that we have going on today that we're going to be asking you. But having that why is a big deal. Simon Sinek, and I talk about him a lot. I absolutely love it. And that's why I asked that as my first question, because he says it all starts with the why. And then I've heard people also say it starts with the why, but you have to have a burn. There's this burn inside of you, and that drives you towards that why. And so you have to have that. What is that burn inside of you? And it's all those things. It's all combined. But it really comes down to is, if you have a burn, you have to have a reason for that burn. What is that why? What really makes you want to go? And it's because you want to help people. You've already accomplished those things. You are the Queen of Cars. You have done this. You've been and you've helped others grow. You've trained people. You've shown people, F&I departments, how to do the right thing, how to sell the right products, how to actually push those products to make sure that their customers get what they need. And you've done that, and you've done it for, like I said, decades. And you're somebody that absolutely brings so much value. And when I say decades, I don't mean that like, I know it sounds crazy.
No, it's okay. You said 4 decades earlier. I about fell over. I'm like, really? Like, we're talking, I'm 55, right? So let's break that down for a minute. Like, that's way more than it's almost my entire adult life. It's pretty much.
You've
is my entire adult life.
Your whole life. And
17 years old, I started in the car business in Los Angeles.
Amazing.
Right? So one of the most progressive competitive car markets in the world. I started as a 17-year-old girl. So, and I mean, there were no women in the car business back then. But I don't want to get off this. I digress. I don't want to get off this topic.
No, you talk. No, you're talking. This is the why, and I love it. Hit it. This is you. We want the authentic queen of cars.
So for me, since the day I came into the business, this is the reason that I got into the business, was to impact and change the business. Because at the age of 17, I was looking for a car, and I wasn't old enough to sign the paperwork. I went to 17 different dealerships in Santa Monica. There's like Santa Monica Boulevard is dealer row. And so I went to 17 different dealerships, and no one would test drive me. And I went to the 17th store. It was a Mitsubishi dealership. And same thing happened. You know, salesman came up to me. I told him what I was looking for. He asked for my driver's license and insurance. And that's when we got into the age thing. And he said he couldn't take me on a test drive. And I was walking back to the car in front of the dealership, got in the car, and this other guy comes out and he says, "Why are you leaving?" And I said, "Because that guy won't demo me." And he says, "I'll demo you." And I'm like, okay. So we went on a demo drive. This is the first guy from 17 stores that has taken me on a demo. Okay. Pulls me to the side. "What are you looking for? What are your hot buttons? You know, what are your concerns?" This guy uncovered all my wants and needs and what my objectives were in my search for a car, right?
Yep.
And he sold on all of those points. And by the end of the test drive, I was done. I wanted that car. I was salivating. I was so excited. Like, where do I sign? And of course, I wasn't old enough to sign. And so I basically had to bring my dad back. But this guy loaded my lips so well that I did such an amazing presentation for my father. Not that my dad was ever going to buy this car for me. I had been given, I think it was, and I was buying the car. I was working. It's a long story, and I might explain this someday, but I was on my own at a very young age, and so was working a couple jobs and in school, and so he had given me a budget of $5,000. Okay, and $5,000 doesn't get a lot of car, but it'll get you something back then. A nice car, you know, Nissan Sentra, whatever. And we went down to the dealership. The salesman did the exact same presentation to a T, okay, that he did on me. Safety was our hot buttons, right? Visibility, all these things, impact, what happens to the car on impact. Those things were hot buttons for me and my father. And so, where did you guys go? So anyway, are you still there? Are you with me?
We're here, my friend. We are listening, and we are so excited about what you're saying.
All right. So the guy did such an amazing job. My dad was in finance. Okay, keep in mind, my dad was, if I was 17, he was 77. My dad had me at 60. Okay. So
wow.
This 77-year-old man, this guy sold him a black Cordia Turbo, Mitsubishi Cordia Turbo, 5-speed, bi-turbo. My 77-year-old father was in finance buying everything, the kitchen sink, vehicle service contract, like alarm, paint and fab, you name it. He bought anything and everything that was available in F&I. Whoa. Okay. I saw that. Hi, Don.
Hey, Don.
So, and I'm just going, okay, and I'm standing outside while my dad's in finance, and I'm standing outside, and the salesman that dropped me is standing out there too, and he's just livid that he dropped me, right? Because now there's a car deal that's happening, full pop, everything in the freaking finance department's being sold, and he dropped the ball.
Yep.
Because he pre-qualified me. Pre-qualified me. Really? Okay, so I'm like standing there like this on the point. This is the point back then, okay?
Right.
I'm standing here like this. And I'm like, so how much money do you make? Like the guy's bragging to me how much money he makes, and that he drives a brand new car every few months. And I'm like, really? Okay, because I'm not very studious. I'm 17 and I hate school. But I want to make money and I love cars and I love people. So, buddy, how much money do you make? Okay, he's telling me he makes like 70 grand. Now this is 1980, I don't know, 1983-ish.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
70 grand's not bad for a little
1988.
girl that's barely has a high school, like doesn't even have a high school diploma. Okay.
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay, you know, um, I could run circles around you, buddy. Like literally, I'm thinking in my own head, go, okay,
Facts.
Come on.
okay, right?
You're like,
And
if he
so,
can do it, so can
I
I.
got this.
yeah. And so, like, I got on, that was my passion. That was my drive. And I was like, okay, I'm getting in the car business.
Yep.
Well, I went on this journey to find a dealership that would hire me. I went to the same 17 stores in Santa Monica because I lived like 10 minutes from there, right? And so I went down the row. Hey, I'm looking for a job. They wouldn't hire me. First of all, I was 17.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Second of all, you know what? Every single one of them said to me, we don't hire women.
Yep.
Okay. We don't hire
Very,
women.
very commonplace in the 80s, 90s, 2000s,
You surprised how
2010s,
many places
2020s.
still say that
Today.
today.
Today,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Right.
saying. It's still
Right.
happening. It's sad.
Mhm. So I shifted gears. I went to a used car consignment lot where I had kicked tires because that was my hobby apparently as a child and teenager. I just kicked tires on lots. And so um, I went to this amazing dealership called Horizon Motors. We became friends with the owner, and the next thing you know, I'm working for him. And I'm 17. I'm going to auto auctions, and I'm the liner at his little consignment lot in Santa Monica, and teeing up the deals, taking them on demos, even though I wasn't old enough and I wasn't fingerprinted and I wasn't licensed in the state of California, which you were supposed to be. But I would tee them up for Mike Sexton, the finance manager.
Right.
Heck yeah.
I would tee up those deals and he'd roll the cars. And so um, that's how I really started in the car business, was just kind of going to auctions and lining at a used car lot. And the second I turned 18, I'm like, thanks, guys. I appreciate your, the experience. I'm going to go find me a store that will hire me now that I'm 18.
Come on.
Couldn't
Heck
find one.
Wow.
Couldn't find one. We don't hire women. And I was lucky enough that the salesman that sold my dad the car at that Mitsubishi store, because I went back to them, they wouldn't hire me. They said, we know of one store. It's in Van Nuys, though, which was 45 minutes from where I lived without traffic, right?
Right.
And I went down there and they said to me, we don't hire women. But they told me, but the salesman had told me there's a woman there, her name's Dawn. Right? So I went down there. They told me they didn't hire women. I'm like, really? I've heard you have a sales lady here. Dawn, like, what's she doing here? Right?
Right there.
That's exactly what I did. I had to come back the day she was there. I literally had to come back the day she was there because it was like this top secret thing. I went through 5 interviews with 5 managers. Actually, it was 4 managers and the dealer, Mark Miller. 5 interviews, 5 times. That's 25 interviews to get into the store.
Wow.
They put me through, they finally hired me, right? Because I would not take no for an answer.
I love it.
They trained us intensively. It was Miller Imports, which was a pretty big dealer group out there back then in Los Angeles,
Wow.
very well known. And so they put us through 2 weeks of intensive training. And during that training, every single manager came up and explained their role in the process of the dealership, right? And what they did, how they participated in each deal. And so, the sales managers came up, the GSM, the GM, and everybody introduced themselves. And the finance manager came up, Tim Nelson, and he was just so sharp, professional, well-groomed, back then a $500 suit was pretty
A big
nice
deal.
suit,
Yeah.
nice shoes, Rolex. Like, I knew I wanted his job.
Yes.
Right then and there, I knew I wanted his job.
Yep.
And he knew I wanted his job. And that guy was very supportive, even though he knew that, but I think they all laughed like, you'll never get into finance, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they were awesome. I had Monty Taylor we called him Dad. He was my GSM. He would not let any of the salesmen come. I think they were concerned. What they told me, the reason they didn't want to hire women is because they are a distraction to the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they told me. And so Monty would, when I was desking a deal, he'd be like, don't even look at her. Don't even think about it. You stand 6 feet back at all times from her. Get away from her. Like Monty had my back, right? As a woman in a predominantly male, very, right, testosterone driven environment, that was kind of cool. He had my back. So,
Shout out to Monty.
yeah.
Shout out
Yeah.
to
I like you, Monty.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, 5 interviews with 5 people, 25 before I got a yes. And that was where I started my career.
That's an incredible.
That is beyond
story.
incredible. You know,
Wow.
there's people inspired by that. Like I have Janie Murphy right now,
Yes.
and Janie just said, you know, so essentially you were a pioneer for women in this industry. Not essentially, she was. She is a pioneer for women in this industry. She goes, love that. Thank you. I feel blessed to be able to share with such a fantastic field. I appreciate your journey. I value the trail you have blazed so that I could be part of this now. Push up.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely love it. Janie is an amazing person. If you don't know Janie, you should connect with her on social media.
Yes.
She's an absolute firecracker that just loves people who are about growth.
That's
And
right.
you guys would
I
be
love that.
kindred spirits, but that's true though. And you have done that. And sometimes it's hard to really grasp that because we all live in our own world. We all in a bubble, right? Even though we're part of a big world, we all live in our own. So sometimes we don't realize how much we impact people, how little stories. I shouldn't say little stories, when grand stories like the one you just told us about how you got in this business, how you cut your teeth and how you were able to force your way in, literally had to force your way into this business, but that made you even stronger. That means you were destined to be a car person because you have to be that way in order to be very aggressive at this business and be able to grow in this business. Is to take no's and not be worried about a no. No is not a no.
Yes.
No means that I have to try a little harder. That's it, right? It's to me, a no is just a complaint. So I got to figure out how I can stop them from complaining, or how do I overcome all the objections that they have in their mind so that they can see that this is the true way of being. And I am so glad, Diane. I mean, seriously, I am so glad that you did that. I'm so glad that you ended up not giving up on your opportunity to be in this business. And I guess their opportunity to have you in this business, right? And you pushed forward and you kept going. And then you got to meet some major people that were great. You know, Monty, for one, I want to shout out to him one more time. Monty, man, way to go. Way to be a gentleman in this business and how to treat a lady like a lady, but to treat her like a fair. It's not even treating her like a lady. It's really treating her like another human being, a coworker, somebody that you can work with and you want to grow, not somebody that you just use as like, okay, she's a female. She's just here for look. No, she is valuable. She has stuff that the guys don't have. 1, empathy. 2, class. Right? Obviously, she has some class because it takes class to be where you're at and to keep moving forward and to deal with the men in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s today. Men are tough to deal with. I know. I bet I'm around them all the time. When there's not a
women are too. It's not just the men.
Hey, there's no doubt. Their women are. You guys are unique.
There's enough to go around for everybody.
No doubt.
I
there is 2 sides to each coin, no doubt.
Question for you on that. This is definitely not part of the 5-liner, but about Monty. Did Monty happen to have daughters?
You know, I have no idea. I never really got that personal. I was a very young girl, and we didn't get that personal. Honestly,
okay.
It wasn't like
different time too. I get it. Well, I'm just checking on that because see, there's something that all you car guys and car gals need to definitely take a page out of Monty's book and take a look at somebody else that's wanting to excel themselves and see where it is that you are and what you have in your hands. Sometimes it's knowledge. Sometimes it's just this extra tool, right? You see somebody suffering, trying to get a job done, and you're sitting there holding the one tool that'll fix the problem that they're having, and they're fighting through it. Offer them that tool. You've been given great access to great things in your life to be able to share them with people. And the opportunities that Monty, I mean, we don't know what Monty's navigation to his point in life was to get him to meet you. We don't know what his story is. Maybe we'll have him on the show one day. I don't know. But the opportunity that he saw inside of you was that, wow, there's a whole other world I can deposit some of what I have into. And you have taken hold of that. You activated it yourself. Again, it's you that faced the nose, turned them around onto ons, right? You flip those words around. You said, I'm getting on this lot. I'm getting on this career. I'm
Yes,
getting on
love
a new
it.
direction. And I am separating
Yes.
the thought that I have that I can do this or not. I am connecting the understanding that I can do this and then the success of it. And here we are decades later, Brew Solutions on the Car Guy Coffee podcast, queen of cars, wearing that crown, doing your thing. And we are having fun. You look at you over and above. She took the why, already fused it to what was basically usually our second
question is always, how'd you get in this business? And you were like,
wait, what's the second question?
That was the second.
You answered it already.
But I got a second question.
She has women's intuition right there. That's why women are great, because they already know what the next question is going to be. So they answer it.
Wait, what was it? What was the question?
What got you into the car business? How did you get into
that? No way. That's so funny. Okay, so first of all, I got to tell you that I love no. I love no. And if you're going to be in the car business, you better love no. You better get really used to it. Right?
So facts.
Because it's just a knee-jerk reaction. It just means that I'm not sold yet. That's all it means.
That's all it is. And it's just like when they say, I'm just looking. That's a knee-jerk reaction. They're just looking because they're just looking.
Exactly. Okay. And how much is that? Is not an objection. People think it's an objection. It's a question.
That is a buying question.
Answer it. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So it's funny. I have to go back to what you said is like, I was born to be in the car business, right? So I was born in Los Angeles, what I consider to be one of the most, like I said before, progressive automotive markets in the world, the most amazing vehicles I've ever seen in my life. I was born to two people that love vehicles, that had to have a new car every 6 months or a year, and they had the coolest cars, right? Either they were classics or luxury or convertible, or we had dune buggies, like whatever it was. We had every kind of woodies, like you name it, we had it. Okay. I have always been drawn to automobiles. It's the weirdest thing. My entire life. I remember at 5 years old, driving down Ventura Boulevard and just looking at the Rolls-Royce dealership, Terry York Rolls-Royce, and like my tongue, my tongue dropping.
Your tail dropping. I love it. It's okay.
That was not a Freudian slip at all. And like 5 years old, and I'm like drooling over Rolls Royces. But I have to tell you, okay, and I touched on this before, but I've been on my own since I was 12. Okay, you don't know all this, okay?
Right.
But I've been on my own from a very young age. And so at a very young age, I was very independent before I was on my own. And so as a child, I would end up in Century City, the Tom Petty song, Century City.
Mm-hmm.
And I would end up there. And they had this amazing, it was called Roadshow. It was a showroom in the middle between the two towers, the Century Towers, at the basically in the bottom. And it was just luxury cars and exotics. And it was so amazing. And I would go in there, and I was maybe 10, 11, 12, and just kick the tires. And I would talk to the salespeople, and those were my friends. The car salesmen were my friends at 10 and 11 years old. And they were so sweet and so professional and so appropriate, I'm just saying. So, but I just had to share that because I think it was destiny.
And I think you're right. And those were seeds that were deposited that took years to turn into this pursuit that you had to be the queen of cars. And there's one. So let me adjust and make this second question happen. And I asked that from a posture of understanding that a good queen is measured by the way that she loves her country, not her crown. And I want to know, because we got the queen of cars up in here, what is it that you love most about this business?
I've always loved the way that it changes every day. I feel like it's so exciting. The new technologies. Yeah, I love the change. The only thing that's constant in the car business is change.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that's constant. I mean, in the world and in business in general, but like the car business for sure. Nothing stays the same, right? So that's it, pretty much.
That's
for
it.
me.
That's why I love about, I remember when we first started the show, somebody asked me, won't name the names, dude, how are you going to keep coming up with content? I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? This business is constantly changing. The content is always available. I said, I don't know. What do you mean by that? I said, and he's like, this business, there's not much that changes. I'm like, oh.
Oh,
And I look at him, and
wow.
this guy's probably 3-4 years in the business and thinks he knows everything already, right? And I'm like, okay. I just look at him and smile, like, oh, you're right. Okay.
Right,
Yeah, maybe I'll run out of content after about 3 months. I don't know.
Here we are 2 years later.
Yeah, and it
2
just
years
keeps going. I have so much. I haven't even tapped into the content that we could do in this business, and the thing is, it's so right. It evolves every single day. It evolves with every customer that you have.
Yes.
There's never a similar. It could be similar experience, but there's never an exact same experience with anyone. Everyone comes from a different place. Everyone has a different heart. Everyone has a different reason why they're there needing a vehicle, and then that's why it's so important to not assume that every deal is going to go the same way, not to try to use the same closes all the time, try to, do the same process every single moment, because everyone's going to go through it differently. Everyone has a different perspective on how the business is. For one, some of them love car guys, some of them hate car guys and car gals, I should say, right? Car people. And when you look at those things, it's a hard thing to overcome, but we as professionals need to make it better. And that's why people like you, the Queen of Cars, out there knowing and explaining to people that this business does evolve, that there is changes. And guess what? It's good. It's great that it does that. Because if it stays the same, we're going to fall apart. Evolution is the key to growth. Evolution is how us, even as humans, have become who we are today, how we've been able to accept technology. I think human beings 1,000 years ago wouldn't have been able to deal with the technology we have today. We had to do it in due time. I think God put this in our hands when we were supposed to have it in our hands. And it's just the way it is. The business evolves, so we have to learn to evolve with it. People change, cars change. I mean, God bless it, cars are electronic now. We have cars that don't even run with, they don't even have to have like oil changes. They don't have to have all these things. They just got to have electric running in there and being charged up. And it's so amazing that that's a whole different thing. Now eventually you're probably just going to use your Bitcoin and just go in there and buy it. And then so the world is constantly evolving. You're seeing dealers use even cryptocurrency to help people buy cars and do things like that. So be ready for change, be the Queen of Cars, and understand, not only be ready for it, but to be excited about it like she is. And I love that about you. And that's amazing. And that's really great to hear. So coming up with all these things, we've heard how you got in this business. We know what your why is. We know a lot of amazing things about this amazing person, right? And I'm so excited to go through that. But you've talked about some people like Monty and a few others. Your father, the first person that actually upped you and actually let you look at a vehicle and do these things, and that's the reason why they earned your business. And people don't realize that sometimes you have to go further with people, even if they're not a decision maker. You still want to move them, because then they're going to go somewhere else that'll move them, and then they'll bring somebody there. So it's about that experience.
Hey, if they get excited enough, they're going to find a way to do it, right? How many times have we heard that?
So many times.
How many times have we been told that?
And we don't do it. We get lazy because we want to get to the low-hanging fruit, right? So there's people out there that have influenced you. I've heard these names. Who has been somebody that has been your biggest influence? Who has been the person that really made Diane the best version of herself, or somebody that's guided you towards that way, I should say?
Okay, so sorry. So for me, so my mentor was Steve Alderson. Steve Alderson is, and you won't find him on social media, but this man has impacted the automotive industry in F&I by trillions of dollars. So he was my mentor from the time that I basically got into finance, and then I started my first business. He was a big advocate of my company, and he basically helped train me in F&I, kind of took my F&I game to the next level. I was trained at F&I school, Pat Ryan and Associates in Chicago. But when I met Steve, Steve started a company called Southwest Dealer Services, and they're huge in reinsurance and ancillary F&I training and products. And you've probably never heard of them, right? But they're probably the biggest out there.
It's crazy.
They're amazing. So definitely Steve Alderson was my mentor. And then Mark Miller, who was the owner of Miller Imports, who was that fifth person, the dealer that interviewed me 5 times before I could get that job.
Right.
Mark, it's crazy. Mark was always very supportive as well and gave me little jobs around the dealership to kind of, I don't know, he just gave me little projects to work on, which I always thought was super cool because it showed that he believed in my capabilities, which helped kept me driven. So I loved that encouragement. But I think the most impactful thing is he was very entrepreneurial, right? So this is a guy that it's a typical dealer's son, right? What do we call the dealers? PhD?
PhD. Papa had a dealership.
Right? Papa had a dealership, but he wasn't a typical Papa had a dealership.
I love those.
Right?
My favorites.
He was there every single day, like 7:30 in the morning. He was in his office and he worked until 6 o'clock every day, if not later. And he actually sold the dealer group to Group One. And then he left that and he didn't retire. He could have, he made billions of dollars. He could have retired. But he didn't. He started, I believe it was Cars Direct.
Wow.
He had a hand in Digital Airstrike, TrueCar, Zag. So, and I've actually consulted for some of those companies as well through him. He's been a really amazing mentor for me, just showing me what entrepreneurial journey looks like and what's possible. So I've had two really amazing men that mentored me that I'm very fortunate for. And there's many others as well.
I promise you.
But no women.
I'm sure that there's plenty others. And
and we're hoping that the more women do end up being that, because I think that's this hopefully this next generation, people like you, people like the Liza Borches out there. There's I could just keep naming names of amazing car women that we've had on the show and that we haven't had yet. And you all are examples of what the future needs to be like. I'm excited to see that. So I'm looking forward to hearing, even 5 years from now, maybe we'll hear about, my when we ask that question to another young lady, they're like, I've had 3 women that helped me come up in this business. Right. And that's what we hope to hear more of.
Yes.
But, it's going to happen. And it is happening right now. It's currently going down. It's a story that we're going to have to tell in about 5-6 more years. Right. It's one of those things. And I'm excited about that opportunity. And there's people like you, mentors like you out there doing things like that, and you're doing it, and sometimes you don't even realize you're doing it. That's what's so beautiful about Clubhouse, folks. If you're not on Clubhouse, check it out, because there's a lot of great things going on, people getting inspired. You don't even know you're inspiring them because they're just there listening, and you're just speaking, and you don't see the reactions, you don't hear the reactions. In some cases you just see some mic flashes, right? And you see these things, but at the same time you are influencing people. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, Diane, you just hearing, and I love that you have mentors like that, but just so you know where you're at, everyone that I mentioned that knows you from Clubhouse, and I say I'm having her on the show, was like, oh my God, I can't wait. That's amazing. She's awesome. We love her on Clubhouse. So you are bringing fire to people. You're bringing an inspiration to people. You've seen it. You have so many stories that I promise you, we're never going to get in this 1 hour show. It's going to take hours and hours. What I love about this, we're building a friendship, and I'm sure I'm going to hear all these stories from you, and it's going to be amazing to hear more.
You will.
You got Demetrius talking about, I love Diane, and he's right. You bring that fire, and we love hearing what you have to say, and that's what got me attracted to that. Of course, I heard that name, Queen of Cars, and I was like, hold on a second, I got to see who this is. And then once we got to hear you and hear you speak and talk about your stories and talk about what this current state of the union of the automotive industry is, you bring it. You are the Queen of Cars, and we are excited. It's not just a self-proclaimed name. She truly is, and we're excited to be able to share your story some more to people, because you have so much to share. So we're excited about it, man. And we're so glad you're here. And I'm so glad that you had those mentors, those 2 guys. Shout out to both of y'all for helping her get to where she's at. And to all of her mentors, all those people, you know who you are. And some of you may not. Congratulations, because you brought up somebody that's amazing and somebody who's now pouring into other people because her cup's overflowing. So thank you.
What I love about what you said concerning your mentors is the whole entrepreneurial spirit that they deposited inside of you. And for those of you car guys, car gals, whether you're a salesperson or you're a sales manager or you're a general manager, the best way that I've ever been able to look at the business myself was to look at and understand I have a business. Oh my goodness, look at all of these thousands, millions of dollars worth of inventory sitting right here that I have access to. Look at all of this internet access I have, right? But back when we started, right, we're faxing stuff over to the banks. We're on the printing up credit bureaus, right? So much has changed inside of the meantime.
Oh, different.
But as much as things have changed on the technology side, things have changed on the scope of who's inside of the store, how they're dressing, how they're looking, right? I know some people give us a mouthful just seeing, we show up with the t-shirt and the jacket, right? We bring our own flow. We're in sneakers. We have a good time still looking like we respect ourselves, right? Looking respectable, dressing properly, clean.
I keep it fly all the time, Lou.
Yes,
I'm pretty. I'm pretty.
Making sure that just as much as we put in the effort to making sure we present well, we then perform to a different level that others start to recognize that there is potential that's great inside of this business. You inspiring people to jump into the car business and break down some of the walls that maybe other dealerships have had up forever. Maybe it's been generational issues. I don't know what it is. All that I do know is that people need to get inspired by hearing women like you that have dealt with way harder conditions to get their foot into the door for the inside of the automotive industry, that right now they can take a look at it, take their stake in what it is that's theirs, and actually perform at a level that makes them become the shining star and the example of what this industry can be. I love it that you didn't let all of those no's at the very beginning stop you. That's the thing, folks. Some things get trained into you after time. You start, man, every time I talk to this customer, they say no. Every time I say this to them, they say no. Sometimes you just have to have that manager to be like, brother, you're going to hear that a lot. You're going to get a lot of those. And you didn't have anybody really coaching you at that time. You went ahead and you took it.
That was natural.
You just was like, no, I'm coming to get this. Tell me no. Somebody else say no to me.
I dare you to say no. I can't wait.
Right?
Because every no that you hear is that much closer to a yes. Right. That's what I always say.
But you know what I did? I eavesdropped a lot.
Yes.
I eavesdropped a lot.
Always.
I went through that training and I was a student, and then I eavesdropped because I knew nothing. And I knew everybody else knew everything.
I did the same thing. I would listen to closes. I would listen to them filling out like even just credit applications. I would hear how they did it because I wanted to. I would see the successful people in the store and I'd just kind of sit by like the desk next to them and just listen.
Yeah,
and I learned so much.
Same way too.
You have to
looking at cubicles next to it, seeing Freddie working a deal, and I come peeking over like,
yes, I see it. And you guys are like, you just met me on Clubhouse. I've been watching you guys for a couple of years, just so you know, on Facebook. I'm not on there very often, but I'd always catch you guys behind the desk doing your thing. So, you're having an impact too, by the way.
That's what we want to do is make sure that the impact that we have, we get the chance to share with you, to give our gratitude and say thank you for that. But at the same time, it's make sure that we take the powers that we have and amplify them together for the sake of a generation that's coming behind us that needs to know that this is a profession you can walk with honor in.
You can.
This is a profession you can discover your deepest passions in. And they go beyond selling the car. They go beyond just taking care of the customer and having the conditions there inside of the dealership. I'm talking about having healthy lives at home, healthy lives in the community, and then having a healthy legacy that's left afterward. But none of that comes without toil. None of that comes without taking shots in the chin. None of that comes without getting the wind knocked out of you sometimes.
So factual.
Right. So Diane, if I can,
go ahead.
Just because you guys brought up Clubhouse, and so lack of support for women. And 5 years from now, hopefully we'll be, and you'll be interviewing people on your show, and people will say, "Hey, I had this great woman mentor." I, in my heart of hearts, do not want to wait 5 years.
Come on.
I want to, right? I want to start today. I started already, right? I want to have impact now. I don't want to wait 5 years, guys. Yeah. I have been hosting a room, which is basically how Fred happened upon me and said, "Hey, I really want you to be on the show," because he ended up being a fly on the wall in this room that really was born out of necessity, because we as women in automotive did not have a safe place to go on Clubhouse. And so I didn't feel like I had a safe place to go. So I created that space, right? And so ideally, it's really a place for women in the automotive industry that where there's no hierarchy. I don't care if you're a porter or a salesperson, right? Or a dealer. We've got VPs in there. We've got amazing women in that group that come in. It's Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock for 45 minutes. And we just talk. We sometimes we have a guest, right, that pours into the women, but we're there to support these women with the everyday things that they're facing in their lives or in a dealership. Because I didn't have anyone to help me navigate a lot of the things, right? Frederick, I sent you pictures yesterday of a situation that I had no one that I could go to. And when I did go to HR, right, they weren't my friend, right? And the other women in the dealership weren't supportive. So, and it was very extreme working conditions for the entire team, right? So, I know I'm being ambiguous and everybody else is like, what is she talking about? But yeah, I don't know if you want to go there.
No, we don't have to get too deep into it, but folks, let me explain what she's talking about. She's talking about dealerships that are not giving not even just customers, but not giving their employees a great place to work. They're actually making it to where people don't want to work there. When you have a place that is uncomfortable, that you have rat droppings and you have smells everywhere, and you're a Lexus store, and I'm not going to say who it is, Beverly Hills Lexus. But anyway, I'm just going to say, but that being said, I am going to say who it is. But I'm going to say is that you have to make sure that the client and your customer and your employees and your family, that's what that is essentially, that your family is eating in a place that they can eat, not a place that you have to clean up every spot. Like, it's disgusting. The conditions that their employees are having to work in, service department, sales department, if you even have to go to the bathroom. Can you imagine having to go in the bathroom and still worrying about your conditions in a restroom? It's disgusting. It's one thing if it's a porta potty, but the whole dealership is a porta potty. So it's
yeah. Now that was 2012 to clarify. And then, LA County, I think it was OSHA or LA County came in, or I think it was Beverly Hills actually came in. The city of Beverly Hills came in and said, you've got 7 days to fix this, clean it up. Otherwise we're closing you down.
Yeah.
So they did fix it. And I believe they've actually built a new store, but it's what happened to the people in the store during that process, right? The rat coffee.
Yeah, we don't want none of that. We want that car guy coffee. None of that rat coffee.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, we don't want that guy up in this business.
It's pretty stout, though. I could imagine how the flavor was, right? So that being said, those things, that's nationwide. That is just called out. Thankfully that you were involved, that I'm sure you were a big part of why that happened, why there was a big change and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so you should feel really good about that.
Needless to say, they weren't too happy about it.
No. But here's the thing. But at the end of the day, their dealership got better because of it. At the end of the day, their whole employees lived a better life. So they were able to sell better. They were able to do more. They were able to be proud of their workplace. Can you imagine inviting a customer to your store and then your store look like that? And how proud would you be? You'd almost be making excuses for why it looks. I'm so sorry. I know you're getting ready to spend like $100,000 with me, but Mike, I know that in here it smells like straight rat poop. And it just does, and it's not good. And you don't want to drink my coffee because right next to that was rat droppings, and things like that. So it's a sad thing, but it was an improvement. Though they were upset at the end of the day, I guarantee by now they're making way more money because of that. So you did the right thing there.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
You putting yourself out there like that to do the right thing, no matter what the consequences, that's ultimately what we want to raise the next generation to do, right? This is what we want to teach our kids. This is what we want to believe is the type of character that we live with, right? There's so many times that we can change conditions, but changing conditions doesn't change character, right? It just changes the condition. A person that changes their character can affect different things no matter what the condition it is. And I mean, I'm right there with you. I know exactly what it's like working a couple car deals and all of a sudden the roof starts leaking on a customer's head. It fills up an entire showroom, right? We got buckets out all over the place. Let it be a rainy day inside of the store, folks, and you're getting a couple ticked off salespeople because their desk is soaked, right? And adjustments just aren't made. Well, if that's what's happening on the exterior of the boat. Imagine what's happening internally inside of your culture. And again, different challenges, different things, all other things that you've had to adapt and overcome as the solutionary that you are. But my question to you, Queen of Cars, is what has been the hardest lesson that you've had to learn inside of your career in the auto industry?
Great question.
Oh my gosh. That's a really loaded question.
Slowly, if you got to.
The biggest lesson that I've learned.
Yeah, or the
being in
hardest
car
lesson.
business.
Hardest. Like me
Hardest
personally,
lesson that I've
my
learned.
hardest lesson
You know
was
what? Honestly, yeah. Go ahead. What was yours? I want to hear yours.
was to remove dollars from titles that the title didn't matter. Sales is where it's at in a lot of cases, right? You can make unlimited amount of dollars in the salesperson posture, and your title didn't matter. What you did and what you performed and who you helped was most important.
Yep.
And don't attach the title to anything else. That was one of my hardest lessons to learn.
Okay. What's yours, Fred?
Ooh.
Look at the queen.
I love that.
She's
Now we are now the interviewee, right? So what, hardest lesson that I had to learn, it's not much different than that, is the fact that it's not about me, it's about the people, right? So when I first started selling cars, I sold cars, right? I did that for 8 years. I was very good at selling cars, but I did not have fulfillment. I did not have true happiness. I made a lot of money, but after about 8 years, you start to realize money doesn't really matter if you're not happy. Right. So what I found was I almost got out of the business. I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Maybe I need to get into a different type of sales because I feel like I'm just ripping people off. Like it's all I'm doing is I'm hurting people. I'm taking advantage of people because I feel like I'm smarter than them. And my closes are so amazing, yada, yada, yada. I felt bad. So I switched. I had a switch that flipped on me. It was like, listen, it's not about how many cars I sell, how much money I make. It's about how many people lives can I impact. Right. So when I started thinking about impacting lives, when I started thinking about how am I going to help, I quit selling cars. But I didn't. I stayed in the business and I started solving transportation problems. I started looking to figure out what their true pain was, not about how much money I could make. And what I found was I made more money. What I found was I sold more cars. But you know why? Because I was helping. My mission was now to help people. My mission was now to see how many I had a reason to be there every day. I had to be like, I'm going to get to work and I'm not going to sit there and just, oh man, I hope I make money today. No, I hope I get to help somebody today. So even if I just had a conversation with somebody, I felt great because I helped them. I taught them how to buy a car, or I showed them the right way to buy this time, not the way that they want to do it, because the way they're trying to do it is wrong, right? Listen, I get you want to do it like the old school ways because guys used to do all this. But let me show you the best way to buy a car. Let me show you how you can educate yourself before you. So I started doing that. I started helping my clients. And then I translated that into other people like team members and friends. And then it translates into your personal life even more because now you're really like exploding and you're so excited. So my greatest lesson was I had to quit selling cars and I had to start solving problems. And when I did that, I became more fulfilled.
I love that. Yeah. Your ego just you moved your ego out of the way.
What's the point? Right. I'm confident, very confident person. There's no doubt, right? Everyone knows that about me, but I don't have an ego because I do put people before I put myself. And I do care about, I care about people. I have empathy. I have all those things and all those traits that amazing women like you have naturally that it took me time to learn, right? It took me years of doing the wrong thing and living unfulfilled and not being happy and still wondering like, how do I have all this money and have all the great life, but I'm still like upset about going to work every day. Like, I hate this job. I don't want to go there because I was hurting people. When I started helping, it changed it. So that was my hardest lesson. And I appreciate you asking that. Thank you. I love you. You're awesome.
Oh, I love you too. So I think for me, there's two lessons. I think one, the hardest for me, and I think honestly, it's the hardest for any human being, is that we cannot control people and we cannot control situations.
Oh, yes.
That's the biggest one for me.
Amen on that. That is write that down and put that in your cup and sip on it, folks.
That's right.
It's a tough one. I deal with it. I still deal with it, even though I have a knowing, right? But I still deal with it sometimes, and I have to check myself. So that is something that saves me a lot of grief and energy, like negative energy, right? So that helps a lot.
The queen has already been initiated into the certified solutionary flow of life by applying 3 F's inside of our lives. But understand, folks, we don't just throw that out there, the forgive, focus, fly, right? That's not just something that we are coining to make sure that people know our brand. That's an actual lifestyle. And you have to be baptized in that understanding and know that the opportunity to have unforgiveness lands on your shoulders daily. It's up to you to hold it there, right? The weapons that get formed against us, they may not prosper, but it doesn't mean that they don't get formed. Actually, that's what happens first. The weapon gets formed and it's against you. Now, you can either cower away, you can either reduce the level of character you decide to keep in those events, or you can rise to the occasion, determine that, hey, the reason why I speak and say these things is because I'm supposed to overcome others so that others can see the way too. And you've led the way inside of that. Our friend Eric Hinkle jumps in here and just talking about this great interview because this is a good one.
I love what he's talking about here. He says, fantastic job hearing you tell your story. I have 4 nieces beginning to ask me questions about this industry. They will be listening to this interview soon today. And that's how, see what I mean? And you say you want it to happen today.
Yes,
and that's what Eric,
right
I love Eric Hinkle. And you're already doing it. Like I said, we don't realize the impact that all of us make a lot of times with these types of interviews. When you're on Clubhouse, when you're just meeting somebody in a showroom, when you have a chance to meet a young lady that's coming up, that's like, hey, what do I want to do with my life? Well, when they see somebody like the Queen of Cars talking about, I didn't take no for an answer. I kept going and I kept pushing. I went through all the craziness of the car business in the 80s and 90s, the 2000s. I'm here and I'm still proud of what I do. And I love this industry and I want to keep making it great. That just shows you that this is a great industry for a lot of people. And this is when we talked the other day, Diane, and I told you the reason why I'm so positive about this thing is because of the people like you. And I know that there's a potential, like maybe it's going to take a month. Maybe it'll take 20 years for us to get this business right. Maybe it'll never be right. And that's okay because nothing is ever perfect, right? I kind of like that about life. You know, when there's things, everything was perfect, it'd be very boring. So we have to constantly be evolving, changing every single day, impacting lives. And he's talking about 4 nieces that want to get in this business, and it's because of people like you, us, and other women and other men that are doing this. But when you're talking about 4 young women, it's like when we finally have a woman in office right now, how impactful was that? Vice president is a multicultural woman. How impactful was that for young women? And to see women like you, I'm telling you, to see the Queen of Cars sit here talk about, she was told no, that she still wanted to be in this business. She was 17 years old, that she pushed and she pushed and she finally got it. And then she had to take a position where she really wasn't sitting, but she was passing it on to other people. And the day she turned 18, she said, I'm going and I'm finding me a real one and I'm going to make this happen. And you did it. And look at this, 38 years later, look at you.
Yep.
Look at you right here, right now, with a smile on your face, loving this industry, trying to share your story so other people hear it, so that 4 nieces that are in a completely different area than you're at, you may never even meet, are going to be influenced by you because somebody like Eric Hinkle, mad shout out to Eric Hinkle, is out there doing amazing things, and he has nieces that are interested in this now because of women like you. And that's what's great. So I'm so thankful that you're here and we're sharing the story.
You guys are amazing. This platform is amazing. Thank you for supporting all of us women, me, Jennifer, Liza. Like, you've had some amazing guests. And Eric Hinkle, definitely tell, I don't know how old your nieces are, but Women in Automotive is a great organization. It's a conference a couple times a year. And for me, I don't feel like it's enough for us to be able to pour into these young ladies or whatever age. Every single week, I just feel like this is an opportunity for us to kind of be in a little intimate place, and we can share some of the things that are going on in our clubhouse room. So
women in automotive are important.
Women in automotive.
But you're impacting not just women, you're impacting men and young men and boys. What I mean is, like, they see this and they're like, man, literally, I'm a mama's boy. I'm 100% a mama's boy. So to see women do amazing things, it's no surprise to me. It's not at all. I know how amazing you all are. You guys are way like superhumans. Like, if I was to say if there was real superheroes on the planet, it's women. You guys could pair children. Are you kidding me? You guys, and you do that. I can't even freaking have a kidney stone without one to fall apart, right? So it's amazing, like how a woman can do that. And that's just one little thing that they have that's above us, way above us, like amazingly above us. But but that's just one little thing, one major thing, but one thing that is out there. Women are doing some great things. Men are influenced by you. So women in automotive is needed. I love the group. Matter of fact, we want to MC and moderate some of your events. And I know that's something I've been talking about already. We're kind of in the back scenes because we are all about that. And I'm all about influencing and helping raise that voice up. Like I said, it's not, our voices aren't making you all louder. It's just that we're just another platform, like you said, for you all to be able to speak on. And we just want to keep making these platforms more available for women, young women to hear, young men to hear that, hey, this business is great and here's why. And it's because of you women. I mean, I'm being real. It's getting a much better business because there's more women stepping up, more women doing what they're supposed to do, more women hearing no a million times before they hear the yes, and showing that, hey, this is how you do it, and this is how you do it with class. So I'm going to get to the fifth question. This is the last one. I'm kind of sad because this is the last question we have for the day. You know, out of all these things, we talked about your why. We talked about your mentors and what got you in this business and how you got told no so many times. We've talked about your greatest failures. We talked about a lot of things this morning, and I'm so excited that we got to share this for people. But the last question I have for you today is, out of all the work that you've put together, this whole 38 years in this industry, Miss Queen of Cars, what has been your greatest reward?
Oh my goodness. My greatest reward. My greatest achievement
Sure.
not monetarily.
Whatever it is that you value most.
Okay, so I would say the thing that I'm most proud of was being early with the F&I products and the menu selling, but more so was the impact that I had with Gap, and the lenders, right? So nice. In order for finance managers today to be able to sell these products in F&I, okay, so the VSC, the prepaid maintenance, the Gap coverage, the tire and wheel, ding and dent, whatever, there's like 10 different products now, right? Paint and theft. Yeah. So I was the person that got those products approved at the lenders, right? So 1991, right? I got Ford and Wachovia and all the lenders across the board to advance they were only advancing for VSC. I got them to start doing the ancillary products.
Wow.
And that's why those products are being sold in F&I today, because you can advance for them. People don't have to pay cash for them.
We all need to be thankful for you.
The other thing was Gap insurance was free on leases, right? First, there was a charge. You guys probably don't remember that, but there was a charge for Gap. And then they started including it on the leases for free because people were so payment conscious on leases, they wouldn't pay for the Gap insurance, right, to be added to their lease. So the banks did it to protect themselves, right, in the event of a total loss. And so at some point, retail Gap came along. Well, it wasn't advanceable. You couldn't, Mr. Five-Liner, you couldn't advance for it, okay, right? So you had to put it in the cash price, and the bank didn't want to know it, and then it took up all your other profit.
Oh, yeah.
Why would you put in a cost factor you know what I mean? So I got them to advance for Gap. I got the lenders to advance for retail Gap.
You're welcome.
So that to me is the biggest. That's my proudest.
I'm going to tell you, I'm proud of that because I've made a ton of money because I sold those products. So if I want to tell you right now, huge thank you. Thank you for doing that, because as an F&I guy for the last 8 years doing subprime, that's how I make my money. I definitely love VSCs, but my Gap insurance, my tire and wheel, all these things that help me be able to provide the family life that I want and do all these things. And also at the end of the day, it's not just about the money. It's those products are wonderful for clients. I have so many clients that if it wasn't for Gap would have had thousands of dollars left over after accidents. I mean, thousands. And half of them, because they're subprime, wouldn't be able to buy another car right off the rip. They have to get that paid off first somehow, some way, right? So it's so crucial for us to have those products. And subprime, if we didn't have those allowed on the backside of deals, it was, because I tell you, I love my salespeople so much that I load front 100% time. Even though I'm an F&I guy, I load the front because if I can get front 100%, I want to make sure my guys get paid because they work hard to get the appointments in. They work hard to test drive, do the features, do all the things that they need to do to get a commitment to buy the vehicle right now. Why would I take away from their gross profit so I can make a little extra money? Unless the customer needs it. Like the customer's like, I have to have Gap. Well, here's the thing. It's because of Diane, Miss Queen of Cars, we're able to put that on line 5 instead of line 3. Line 3 takes away from gross. Line 5 adds to gross. Understand that. And I'm so excited that we have that. I mean, honestly, I didn't know that you did that. Now that I know that you did that, I almost want to send you like a big old thank you package.
You know what? It's really for the customers' protection.
100%
Great
it is.
for us. But at the end of the day, like these customers now know that they need this stuff because we've had these perils. I just leased a Jeep. I bought the tire and wheel, of course, right?
Yeah.
And I got the end of the lease care, and I also got the paint and fab, and yeah, just because I destroy cars. I don't need a bill at the end. So
well, now that you're in Florida too, it's you're gonna need that for the paint and all that kind of stuff because that sun is a beast down that way. But no, we absolutely love that. I am so thankful that you're the one that brought us that opportunity. And I'm so glad that I know you. You are like my homegirl now. Like I seriously am going to be talking about that with everybody. Like, I know the person who started that, right? Yeah, that's like one of my good friends. Yeah, no big deal. Name is Diane. She's a queen of cars. No big deal.
We know the queen.
Yeah, we know her. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Solutions.
We'd be hanging out with her. That's my homegirl. It's so cool. I mean, honestly, that like, wow, I like you even more, like so much. You don't understand like how important that is as a finance guy. And I know every finance guy in the world who just heard that's going, oh my God, they want to thank you too. I know they do. So, I mean, it's amazing. And you're 100% right. Those things needed to happen. Those products are very important to our clients. Gap Insurance, tire and wheel, the first time you ever use it, you realize the value of it. I know customers who've only used Gap. They bought like say 10 cars. They've used Gap on every vehicle, but only had to use it one time, but they still understand the value because of that one time. That one time, just like car insurance. We all like, why the heck do we pay this stupid coverage for car insurance? I never get an accident. Well, get in that one accident and see how great car coverage is to have, right? So same thing with Gap, same thing with the VSC contract, same thing with Tire and Wheel, Credit Life. We can keep going on and on and on about these 10 different products or plus actually nowadays that you can have on the backside of a deal on line 5. And that all started because of an amazing car gal. Her name is Diane Uzelac, and I'm so excited that we had you here today. Thank you for giving us this story. Thank you for sharing so much with us. Thanks for pouring your heart out. And I'm so glad that I learned more about you because I already liked you. Now I love you. So it's just amazing. I feel this much closer to you. You always have a friend with Lou and I, just so you know that. If you ever need anything, if you want to come on a show to announce something, just let us know. We're looking forward to doing a follow-up with you again to see where you go.
Love it.
Yeah, we're pumped up about that. Absolutely. So, folks.
So just so you guys know, shameless plug. I don't know if you know what I do now. Do you know what I do now?
Drop it.
Drop it.
Okay.
Drop it like it's
So
hot.
what I do now is I build the F&I ancillary divisions, the VSE and ancillary divisions for 12 OEMs. So the guys that go around, so the Mopar reps that go around to the different dealerships and they do the training on the service contracts. They teach you how to menu sell. They teach you compliance. I build those teams. I staff those national training F&I divisions for the OEMs.
Wow.
So I'm a recruiter for the OEM F&I training divisions. Yes.
Wow. So how do people get a hold of you, Diane? What's the best way?
So my phone number 310-873-7731. You can find me on LinkedIn, Diane Uzelac, Queen of Cars. And I'm on social media at Queen of Cars, pretty much on Twitter, Instagram. I'm not on Facebook that much. LinkedIn's really the place to find me, guys.
LinkedIn is
and my website, autocareersonline.com.
Careers Online. Well, awesome. We are so thankful again that you took the time to spend with us, that you take the time to jump inside of a clubhouse room, that you have taken the time in the industry to find yourself in it in order to help be a doorway for others to find themselves into the business as well, and for them to find out just how great they can be. Again, there are so many people that get the chance to bask or enjoy the spoils of someone else's war. The good thing is that you're here seeing the effect. you're here reaping a great harvest, and you're still leaving great seeds out there to continue to leave a legacy of the Queen of Cars, not just Diane, not just those that have made a way before you, but for all young women, all young men, all people that ever find an excuse to doubt themselves. You can take a 17-year-old that doesn't have the education, doesn't have the credentials, but has a passionate heart,
like school at all, actually,
to go for it, right? I am not the studious one, right? That wasn't my strength, but I did love learning from people things I loved to learn.
Yeah.
And when you do that, folks, you can unlock a power inside of you. But I highly, highly encourage you continue to do the things that Diane has done, and that's to shape and sharpen her character so that she is prepared and ready for all conditions. We thank you so much for being with us today. You are an incredible queen that we give honor to. Cheers to the queen.
Bam.
Thank you so much for being with us, car guys and car gals. We have had an incredible day. And we want to make sure that you do the same. Make sure that you go to carguycoffee.com, get you some more of the brew, maybe get you a bag of coffee or two. I don't know. But either way, we have been having an incredible time brewing solutions with some of the best. I am Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
And I'm Fred Lenartz, the subprime hero.
And we have been brewing solutions with the Queen of Cars herself, Diane Uzelac.
Yes.
Woo! Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Say goodbye, everybody.
Everyone, you all have a great
guys.
day. We'll see y'all soon.
Great.
Woo! Car Guy Coffee, let's brew.
Have a big day, everybody. We will see you later. Enjoy your day.